And the main way that coronavirus is spread is by aerosol, by these little microscopic droplets that we cough, we sneeze, we breathe out into the atmosphere. And it's possible that virus either coughed into the hand or coughed through the air, landing on a surface, and then getting on our hands, and then we put it in our eyes, our nose, our mouth, is another way of causing an infection. So staying 6 feet away, avoiding the direct effect of respiratory droplets, and washing our hands thoroughly using running water. Soap is the best. 20 seconds, using a lot of friction, rinsing it off, drying it. All those processes obliterate the virus on our hands before it can cause disease on the mucous membranes of our face or the face of people we care about. Average incubation period of the virus is about 6 days. It's about a week. What's happening right now is reflecting how many people had it and gave it to others about a week ago. 1 week from now, it may be very, very widespread because we don't have a lot of testing, because we can't identify the majority of people who have this virus. This is the time to be extra careful. This is the time to have that social distancing. This is the time to try to slow the spread by being at a distance from other people and being far away from any respiratory droplet that's passing in the atmosphere around a person who may be infectious. Some of the risk factors for severe infection with this virus include age, high blood pressure, diabetes, lung disease. I think now is the time that if we have high blood pressure, if we have diabetes, if we have lung disease, now's the time to be very careful about keeping all those conditions under control. If you have diabetes, this is not the week for that ice cream sundae. This is the week for that celery. This is the time to be very, very careful and to make the body as healthy as possible. There are things that we do that strengthen our immune system. Healthy eating, having vegetables and fiber that stimulate our healthy bacteria, stimulate our immune system, sleeping regularly. And the piece of advice that I think is the funniest bit of advice during times like this, though, which is don't have any stress, avoid stress. I'm so stressed out as I even say this. There are things that we can do to make our health better, to make our immune systems more resilient, to make us stronger so that if we're exposed to the virus, we have a more mild case and pass it on to fewer people. The main symptoms are fever, cough, particularly a dry cough. If a person has a runny nose, if they have sinus congestion, if they have more typical cold symptoms, we don't think it's this virus that's causing those symptoms. This virus hits the lower lung, and a dry cough is the most common symptom that you can have. It often causes fatigue. It can cause muscle aches and pains, but there are no rules. It's not 100%. And a lot of people, as I've said before, have no symptoms and have this infection. And some people have other signs or symptoms of infection. There's a lot of variation and people are very different. We don't have a lot of tools to be able to help people. And if everyone ran to the doctor when they had a cough and some fever and some fatigue, then the doctor's offices would be very crowded. And we're very, very worried about people passing on this virus in any crowded circumstances. And the last thing that we want is for a person to go to a doctor's office with one type of virus and end up with this virus because it's so infectious. So if there are symptoms, I think the best thing to do is to call the doctor, to speak to the doctor or the doctor's office. And what my office will say is that if you're feeling like this, but you're basically okay, stay away from other people, stay home, take care of yourself, get through this. And if you start getting worse, particularly with shortness of breath, that begins to tell us that this might be a circumstance in which you need extra help and support. We do know that the incubation period after exposure, the average incubation period seems to be about 6 days, but there's a range. And the incubation period from exposure to getting sick is between 2 and 14 days. I mentioned that the amount of virus that you shed is very high right at the beginning of the infection and just shortly prior to that. So if you have an infection and your incubation period is 14 days and you get tested 7 or 8 days in, you might test falsely negative for the virus.